So let's go with a topic that you just mentioned, which is life is fleeting. Can you kick it off for us?
Sure. I think one of the things that we do as young people in particular, and I guess everybody to some extent, but less when you're older, and that is to think that you have an unlimited amount of time to accomplish whatever you want to accomplish or to experience what you want to experience. And throughout life, the funny thing is we don't have as much time as we think. Even if you're 20 years old, it's this much time between 20 and 30, and this much time between 30 and 40, and this much time, et cetera, all the way up until you breathe your last. So my point of raising this issue is that throughout life, you can't be certain of living long enough to even take another breath. And that's brought home to us all the time when we see some tragedy that happens and unfolds. And then when we go through that reading and that experience of grief, even for strangers we don't know, we think, well, there's an example of why we should double down on doing the things we like and being the person that we
Mhm.
want to be. And we go through that exercise for about a day, and then the next day you're right back on the rat wheel and doing the same stuff and judging and all of the rest that gets in the way. So if you can if we can get to the point, and I struggle with this too, get to the point where you have awareness of the limitation of what life, how long your life is, what things you can do in your life. There's a limitation to how long you have to get all of that done. When you can get to the point where you really get that awareness, that you don't have all the time in the world, that's a wonderful agent for change. That really forces you to think, well, if I'm not living the way I want to live, maybe I need to look at what I need to do right now in this moment to start beginning to make those changes that bring about what I'm interested in. And for me, it was a sense of getting out of that feeling that I was trapped, getting out of the feeling that I was in a profession that was so demanding and so difficult that I had no time for anything else. And I had this mindset that once I got to fill in the blank, once I got to the end of this case, once I got to so much money in the bank, once I got the new car, once I got, always the story of once that I got something, my life would improve, and then I could start living my life. Well, the reality is all of those things that you're putting off are just fanciful ideas. Your real life is in what you're putting off. The exercise of putting off is what your life has become. So one of the
Wow.
things that
Wow. Say that one more time.
the things that you're putting off are the things that your life has become, the things that you're worried about, the things that you're going through.
Wow.
Those are the things that are really your life. The stuff that you envision, like I'm traveling, I'm going to be in love, I'm going to have all of this beauty around me and be with my buddies. That's an abstraction that's in the future. Your real life is now devolved into just thinking about getting through the
Wow.
present moment so you can get to that. But the reality is that present moment where you're worried and anxious and want to be somewhere else, that's your life.
Wow.
That's that's the mistake that we make. We forget that you're living in this constant state of when something else happens, I'll be ready to start living my life. The reality is the life you are living, experiencing that anxiety is where you're at. You can get rid of that. You can stop it and say, okay, I'm not, this is my life. Do I like it? No. Make changes. No, there are too many. Well, then you're going to be stuck. So my point is that awareness is the greatest agent for the change. And once you're aware of the fact that you have a limitation of time, that death is over your shoulder, literally, whether you're 20 or my age, 74, it's over your shoulder. You're going to be cashing out one of these days, whether you want to or not, whether you have any vote about it or not. That should be some motivation for you to do what's important for you in your life, and the motivation to find inner peace, the motivation to do whatever is necessary to be relaxed and kind and helpful to others.
Wow, Rick, that's beautiful. I'll just end with this. There's another podcast that I might do later about an event that happened most recently that was an opportunity for my practice, and it still is regarding research that I've done at Mayo Clinic, and we are about to work on the manuscript for it. And there's this conversation about who's going to be the first author on the research if it's published in a journal. And I didn't think that kind of stuff would hit me, but there's the personal self. making everything a problem. And what I thought about, I tried to be objective about it. And as much as the personal mind will let you be objective, this all comes back down to, net subjective when the personal mind is involved.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so I had to get some other people who have a well-being practice to kind of like, give me some guidance. And I think I've come to a nice place with it. I'm definitely not suffering inside anymore, and I'm not attached to an outcome. What I will say though, as I was going through the process of considering whether or not myself or this other person would be first author, and the leadership was going to make that determination, and then it came down to me choosing to accept it or not. But when I was going through it and I found myself being disturbed inside about it, I said to myself, like to your point about life being fleeting, if I had a jar of marbles and in that jar, it represented the number of days I have left. I don't care if back, that jar was full starting back February 7th, 1970, which was my date of birth in this physical body. If that jar was full then, if I knew that one of those marbles was going to be like used to worry about something like this is out of my control, I don't care how many marbles are in that jar. I'm not giving one up to that, right? So now I'm 53. So there's a lot less marbles than when I was a day old. So I am certainly not giving up a marble now, right? To this. So to your point, man, the minute that I think about that and I have that kind of, illustration in my mind, it brings me back to the present moment and my awareness of the choice that I have in this moment. And that's not to be bothered by this and let that go. As you said to me many times, and I find myself quoting this and saying this to myself every week, none of it matters and it's all going away. When I hear that, man, it brings me back down, man. I get out of the personal mind. I'm back here and I'm like, no, that marble will not be used for that. That marble will be used for serving. That marble will be for being kind, working on myself, being loving, but it will not be used for being bothered. That's just not how I'm using my marbles, right?
I totally agree, Keith. And one of the things that when we talk about service to others, it's not so much there is a component of altruism to it for sure. We want to help other people. We want to make the world a better place. We want to make our local environment where we practice or where we're in and who we're among better and more productive and kinder for everyone. But there's also something else. There is a wonderful warm feeling that comes back to you when you're kind
Yes.
and you're literally trying to do the best for others and all concerned. There's a sense of warmth and purpose and joy that comes into your life, whether you get the credit for it or not. And so my argument in this is that you're doing it because it's the right thing to do, but you're also doing it because you get this
Absolutely.
enormous payback. And people somehow miss that. They think, I think there's a lot of people who think that love is like money, like there's a limit to it, right? That I only have so much love that I can give, and then if I give it all away, I don't have any to give to my kid or to my lover or whoever. And I totally disagree with that. I think that it's an un it's an un un, un you
Limited.
cannot you cannot use it all up. It
Right.
it continues to replace itself. It's irreplaceable. I mean, you just continue to have love the more you
Right.
give,
Right.
and it comes back to us 100-fold as we've both experienced.
Yeah, I totally agree, Rick. I totally agree. Thank you for a great show. I love this about life being fleeting. I'm certainly trying to live uh, with that truth in mind every single day. So thank you. I love you.
I love you. Thanks, Keith.